In this video, we'll start merging together pieces into our city so we can flesh out the city street with a street light and a tram stop. I've opened up 62 merging objects start from the scenes directory in the Futuristic City Street project. Make sure, if you haven't done it already, you click on the Max icon and choose Manage and Set Project Folder. I browsed over to the Futuristic City Street project and clicked on it, then picked OK. And this way 3ds Max knows to look in the Scenes folder for my scenes and scene assets for the images that are parts of materials. In 3ds Max, it's very common to work in multiple files to build objects. That way you're working on a small piece instead of in a giant scene, and you can manipulate things much easier. It also makes things like referencing, when we're working in a collaborative workflow with other people and multiple objects, easier. For example, what I've done here is to make the tram stop in a separate file. I'll go take a quick look at this, clicking on the Open File button and choosing Tram Stop. This is a tram or bus stop I've made, and it's a futuristic design with brushed steel in the frame, a glass panel done in a smoky glass, luminous signs that say Metro and have numbers of trains or buses, and some advertising on the front and back. Apparently Line & Company is very big in this city, and so is Votive Design. I've also put a light in here, and this is a photometric light, which emits light in the way that a true light bulb would. And I've scaled it up to the size of the light fixture in the canopy here, so that when I import this in, it'll come with that light and be easy to place and light and be there if we clone it. Here's how I'll handle this. In my scene, clicking on the Max icon and choosing 62 Merging Objects Start again, I'll merge this file in. First, I'll click on the Max icon and choose Import. Under Import, we've got some different options available. We import between non-native file formats into 3ds Max. For example, we may have an OBJ, a transfer format, or an FBX file coming in. We merge between 3ds Max scenes, and that way the objects preserve their modifier stack and all their properties and attributes. If we're modeling in a separate scene and we'd like to replace objects, we have that option available. And finally, if we're working with another Autodesk application, such as Revit, Motion Builder, or AutoCAD, we can directly link to those files, so a change in one program shows up in the other. For now, though, I'll choose Merge, so I can merge that tram stop in. It browses right to the Scenes folder, and I'll click on tramstop.max and click Open. When we merge between scenes, we have a dialog that comes up and it says, what pieces would you like to bring across, and how would you like to filter them? For example, if I just bring geometry, there's the panels, the bench, the canopy, the lit panels, and so forth. If I add lights into that, there's my photometric light. I can bring in some or all of the objects at my choice when I'm merging, and this is very important, as we may work in scenes with temporary lighting or temporary cameras or temporary other objects, and only want to bring some of them across. I'll click All down in the bottom left and click OK. My tram stop comes in, and there's a change in my lighting. If you recall from the video on viewports and configuration, we had set under Realistic the lighting and shadows to use Scene Lights. I'll go back to the default lights. As we can see here, with one light in the scene, my city is very dark, as there's one light in the bus stop and that's it. I'll press Z to zoom extents, and there's my tram stop, halfway submerged down into the street. I'll take this object and group it, and this way, instead of multiple objects to keep track of, it thinks that it's one object. We can see here also I had left selected the polygons of those posters and the sign on the side, and that's why they're showing in red. I'll choose Group and Group, and all the objects that are selected with their white wireframe here will group as one object. I can still open the group and get to them if I need, but this way I can pull this stop around as one piece. I'll name it Tram Stop 001, in case I clone it so I get 01, 02, 03, and so forth. Now I'll merge in one other piece. I'll click on the Max icon, choose Import, and Merge again. I'll also merge in the streetlights. Clicking on it, picking Open, and there's one object, Streetlight 01. I'll click OK, and there's my light pole. I figure that in this street we want to have at least 3 or 4 of them visible here, to give us some good grounding lighting in front of the buildings. This is already named Streetlight 001, and it's ready to go. I've taken these objects and put materials on. Notice I pressed F3 to go back to a realistic view, and Z to zoom extents. I've put on a deep charcoal metallic paint on the streetlight, and if we look up at the head, there's a bright white under here where the actual light is, so the streetlights look lit. This would be a great help when we're dealing with lighting, making things look like they're emitting light correctly. Now my scene's ready for moving, and I'll do this in the next video. For now though, I'll save this file, saving as 62 merging objects end. What I'll do in these videos is save a start and end for each one. That way, if you'd like, you've got my working version, or you can keep the file open from the previous video and just follow along with yours. In the next video then, we'll look at moving and snapping and rotating objects into place to start to build up our city. I'll click on the Max icon, choose Save As, and call this 62 Merging Objects End. It's a good idea to save frequently and name your files so you can find them. If you'd like, when you're saving, you'd like to increment, there's a plus next to the name, and it actually gives it 01 at the end, as we can see up here. Now we'll get into moving and really start to put the city together.